attract top talent from, all across the speedrunning spectrum. All right, file names. Gix is Up Gamer, and Cookiepocalypse is Divine. That makes sense if you've ever been to a Revolution stream. All right, and we are starting with the prologue. Gix with a nice prologue save. That's we've seen prologue deaths, but that's the first prologue save I've ever seen. So well done for that. But yeah, prologue is just a short, simple sugar cookie of a level. You just kind of jump across. Jumping is faster than walking by a couple frames, which saves about a second. But yeah, this is like our basic tutorial where we're introduced to the basic mechanics of climbing, jumping, and of course, the dash. And just a little pause on Gix's side so that Cookiepocalypse's stream can get caught up and get a little bit of a nice sync going on for y'all. All right, and now the runners are going to be taking on Forsaken City. So Forsaken City is where we're going to be introduced to some of the more complex mechanics of this game. So in a couple screens, you're going to be seeing a wall bounce from Gix, where we kind of jump up against the wall and hit A at the right time to get like the incredible height. And now we're going to see a hyper dash from Gix, where we're kind of dashing against the ground to get incredible speed and kind of like dash at a lower angle. And you're also going to see extended hyper dashes, where we're also jumping out of the hyper dash at just the right time so that we can retain another dash so we can clear spikes like you're seeing from both sides of the screen. Like, this is just like a nice little simple thin of a level. It's simple, it's crisp, and it's kind of easy. Like, you can find yourself kind of, saying, okay, I'll just do like a real quick IL Forsaken City practice to warm up, and then you're just running this for 20 minutes. But yeah, as expected, like both runners advancing through this with nary a problem, just like a minor slip up here and there that I'm noticing, and that's kind of why Cookiepocalypse is behind, but yeah, getting through just fine so far. All right, so now on both sides we're going to be seeing a spike jump. So basically those spikes that you see there, we're kind of doing a wall jump off of is a wall according to like the game set box. And okay, so Gix, that's kind of a minor menu there, but again, Celeste uses in-game time, so that's not really an issue. He just has to get back to the game as quick as possible, or at least just has to restart the game. That may have been a crash too. The runners are in the same race room, so they may be communicating with each other, which may be why we're seeing Cookiepocalypse kind of take a little bit before he enters Old Site. But yeah, that's another pitfall of running on Switch. Like, apparently the game can crash here and there for little to no reason. Okay, but he's fine. Didn't lose his progress from Forsaken City, and he's back onto Old Site. So, yeah. All right, Cookiepocalypse following short behind, and we're into Old Site, which is, again, it's like another fairly short, fairly simple level. Like, it's kind of like an M&M cookie. It looks more interesting than your average chocolate chip cookie, but aside from some textural differences with the candy coating, it's really not that much different. Like, again, it's something that top runners are going to be expected to get through with very little problem. So now we have these like a dream block mechanic where basically we're shooting through these boxes that we activate that are part of this like little dream sequence level, and they kind of shoot us forward with the speed of a dash, and they're really fun to go through, but we only interact with them for so long in this level because a lot of the fun stuff that you get to do with these squishy little boxes are to collect various collectibles that are in this game. But yeah, and this is any percent. We're not looking for strawberries. We're just looking for progress. And one impediment to our progress is Battleline, who follows us around on a 3-second delay, mimicking our exact movements. And Yeah, so we just kind of have to route out our movements to avoid her, which you can see our runners doing, again, like, very little problem. Very smooth from both so far, as you can expect from runners that, like, you know, have like 33 caliber times. This is really just a treat to watch right now. All right, so Cookiepocalypse is the first one into this long room with the Devon and skip, but again, gets through it. And now we're in the Awake section, which is where you can really see a top runner shine. Basically, like this section here, there's nothing really that can kill you in this section. You just have to get through these screens in a speed run as fast as you can. So one thing that you're going to be noticing one thing that you may notice on these screens is that when we do a screen transition, we retain our momentum from whatever we just did on the previous screen. So basically, like, we're using our momentum from one screen to set up what we want to do on the other. And yeah, we're seeing Cookiepocalypse kind of use that to great effect. And Gix having a little bit of trouble with Old Side right now. Yeah, that was kind of focused on Cookiepocalypse's movement right there. But yeah, Gix is now a little bit of a ways behind after maybe some trouble on that, like, really long final battle line screen. He's through. He's going to be getting through the Awake section in about like 15 to 20 seconds, I want to say, and he will soon be joining Cookiepocalypse in Celestial Resort. So Celestial Resort in a Celeste Any percent race can be the first major point of divergence. It's a long level, and there's a lot of opportunities to die because we have these little dust bunnies that we're now encountering. So, and what you just saw there from Cookiepocalypse is he was able. So we also refresh our dash after a screen transition. So a lot of the movement tech in this game is kind of like using momentum from the screen transition and just kind of like knowing when to use our dash properly. Now, one thing that you saw from Cookiepocalypse there is he re-entered that screen. So there are so these dust bunnies move in cycles, and there are two different cycles that you can encounter. There's the entrance cycle, which is the cycle that you get when you first enter the room, and there's a death cycle, which is how they move if you take a death in a room. And a lot of runners are going to be more comfortable with an entrance cycle than they are with the death cycles because they don't expect to die in any of these rooms. So yeah, that little re-entry that he did, you know, like 5 rooms ago at this point, like, that was just to give himself a cycle he was more comfortable with. All right, now we have Gix starting Celestial Resort, and yeah, Celestial Resort can be like something of like a block for newer runners, and because like it's really hard not just to like memorize the cycles, but also learn how to move through them. Like, it's kind of like like, you know, comparing it to the cookies, like, it's kind of like a butter pecan cookie. Like, it's not going to be like, you know, a younger runner's cup of tea just because like you kind of have to like get adjusted to it. But like, once you learn to like appreciate a butter pecan, like once you're looking for a cookie that goes well with coffee, it's really satisfying. Like, this can be a really satisfying chapter to learn how to move through quickly. Like, moving through that this first huge mess room like Cookiepocalypse just did, like, all those like little precise hypers and wall bounces that you had to do to like get through that's something that you really have to practice and like really get comfortable with. But yeah, the practice shows in that screen. Yeah, so Gix moving through the huge mess section. Again, you can see all these dash that he's doing, all these wall bounces, trying to get through this as fast as possible. It's just such a treat to see these runners move cleanly. And I gotta bring the cookie metaphors. We got Cookiepocalypse right here. I can't bring many Gix metaphors. I tried to find a way to fit in kid tested mother approved for Gix, but no doing. All right, so Gix with another spike jump. You know, despite that trouble in Old Site, all things considered, not too far behind Cookiepocalypse. You know, just like one of these huge mess sections behind. And again, there's several different points in this run where like that time can be made up. You know, I noticed Cookiepocalypse was practicing the Oshiro fight before this run, so maybe that's something that he feels that he needs to work on. So that could be a point for Gix to catch up. Alright, so we get kind of in sync block squishes. I'm not quite sure what those actually are in this block, but yeah, basically we just squish those and that cleans up the entire mess for reasons. It's a video game, I'm not questioning the logic. So anyway, Gix moving through this last section of Huge Mess, and Cookiepocalypse now onto the elevator shaft, which again, more tight movement through cycles, more just kind of like really trying to be efficient with your dashes. Yeah, like that hyper dash right there that he used, and then chaining that into a wall bounce. That's super precise, and that's like the mark of it. That's like one of the marks of a top runner right there. Meanwhile, Gix collects his key after clearing up the huge mess. Talks to Mr. Oshiro's boy that will soon see in full force. Meanwhile, it takes Cookiepocalypse a second try to get through that room of the 4 hyper dashes, but gets through the way he knows how. Alright, so Cookiepocalypse is going to be the first runner into the Oshiro section. Not necessarily a boss fight because we don't really fight him, we're just trying to run away from him. A lot of plot happens, we make this guy angry at us, and, you know, again, this is another thing that makes Chapter 3 such a daunting task for a new runner. Simply just, like, not just navigating through these dust bunnies, but also adjusting for Oshiro's movements. So if you play this enough, you start to, like, understand where Oshiro is going to be based on where you move, so... Like, he also kind of moves on a cycle, so every time that he's going to charge at you, he flashes this lightning bolt across the screen, then signaling that he's locked into your vertical position, and then he just charges at you, and we just have to, like, route our movement through these sections so that we know we're avoiding him, and we're also not just avoiding him, but, like, moving fast. Yeah, Cookiepocalypse has to duck a little bit to avoid Oshiro, but makes it through very clean Oshiro section and makes it out of Chapter 3 with a 9:22 on the timer. Very nice. Alright. Meanwhile, Gix following not too far behind. Yeah, he's on the last screen, and a death here could be pretty costly if that ends up happening. Like, that's one of the reasons why you saw Cookiepocalypse, like, take that extra precaution of ducking. Yeah, and Gix took that extra precaution of waiting for that dust bunny to cycle down, simply because, like, a death on that screen can be super costly, because not only does it lose you the 15 seconds it took you to get to that point, but then you have to spend another 15 at that point, and then, you know, you're on a different cycle, which I believe is slightly slower. But yeah, he makes through. He's, again, not too far behind Cookiepocalypse at all. Like, just... It's like 15 seconds behind, maybe? Yeah, so both runners into Golden Ridge, which... You know, Celeste is fun. There's still a lot of cool movement, but... It's definitely, like, one of the more frustrating levels, because, like, there's all these, like, annoyingly precise things that you have to deal with, like, you know, these little cloud trampolines that kind of, where you have to, like, time your bounces impeccably. You get these, like, weird little auto-scroller skips, like Cookiepocalypse is setting up for and gets rather nicely. It's definitely like the oatmeal raisin cookie of Celeste. Like, yeah, it's sugar, but oatmeal raisin? Come on. Alright. Meanwhile, Gix getting through the first section of this level pretty nicely, yeah. Yeah, sets up for the first auto-scroller skip. Again, you can see, like, a fair amount of, like, you know, very cool skips, but again, very annoyingly precise skips. Alright, now I'm getting hate on my oatmeal raisin takes. Okay, cookie metaphors may have been a mistake. On Cookiepocalypse, so taking, like, a bit of a rough one in that last in that last section, like kind of overshot his mark, it looked like. So that's kind of allowing Gix the time to catch up a little bit here. Yeah, Gix going into this room with a virtually unskippable auto-scroller. There is like a way that the task can do it, but again, like some stuff is just, you're not going to go for that. Like no matter what kind of level, no matter like what level you're at. It gets like a really nice extended dash to jump over that spikes, which I don't believe I've seen. And again, that's probably something you're only going to see the top runners go for. And now they're both in this harsh wind section where not only are they dealing with this like super harsh wind that's forcing them back so hard that the only way to really move through these greens at all is to dash, but now we also get these snowballs, which, you know, also track our vertical position, but unlike Oshiro, don't really give us any warning. So we just have to be moving fast through these greens, and we're trusting with all of our hearts that these snowballs aren't gonna just bop us in the face, because when they do bop us, oh man, just barely skirts top that snowball just Gix. Yeah, they do hit us. They just hit us. There's no noise or anything. They just hit us. We die. It's very embarrassing. But Gix gets through that without a problem. Cookiepocalypse is also out of Golden Ridge, heading into Mirror Temple. Okay, so Cookiepocalypse hit that switch with about a 13:01 on the clock, so we'll see what time Gix gets there, because I think there's a little bit of desync with our level timers. Yeah, they shouldn't be too far apart with in-game time at all. Oh wow, yeah, we are virtually tied with the in-game timer. That is super cool. So anyway, so Mirror Temple is kind of distinct from the first few levels in that, like, there's a couple sections that are unlike anything else in the game, but also it's kind of divided into two parts. Like, there's this first part that both of these runners are in where it's just like really solid movement. All right, now we see Cookiepocalypse. He's setting up for double bubble skip, which is this really precise trick. So what he's trying to do is okay, he got it there. So there's something in this game called a corner boost, where if you kind of do a jump off of a corner at just the right time, it's like a 3-pixel window, you're able to like get incredible speed off of that corner and just kind of like fly to your destination. So yeah, double bubble skip, which he went for and got on like not quite the first try, but still got. Yeah, that's like one of those really precise tricks that you can only do with the corner boost. So it's understandable why it would take him a couple tries, but it's also understandable why he would go for it, because it does save you these rides through these red dash bubbles. Okay, so Seeker kills Madeline at about 14:34 for Cookie, and yeah, so he's going to go into the room with a bunch of cutscene skips, and this secret room that Gix is now going to be going through, that introduces us to Seekers, which, you know, true to their name, they're going to be seeking Madeline out, and they're going to be trying to kill her. They can kind of feel like they're RNG, but they're actually AI, so they just kind of like track our movements, and then they'll like charge at us. But unlike, you know, snowballs or shears where you can like completely predict where they're going to be, like the Seekers, they do have minds of their own, so they may not necessarily go where we need them to go. So this is one of the few sections in this game where you'll actually see like improvised strats from these runners if they miss the thing that they're going for initially. Like Cookiepocalypse was probably trying to hit that Seeker into that coin switch because they can activate these coin switches that you're about to see, but didn't quite get the strat there. So he had to like, you know, figure out, okay, it's faster if I just like continue on and move down. So yeah, and Gix joining him in this section. Ooh, runs into that Seeker. Yeah, that Seeker was just a little bit above where he needed to be. Yeah, again, doesn't quite get the strat, but again, recovers nicely. All right, so Cookiepocalypse coming up on one of the most important skips in the run. This is the first thing you need to learn if you're a newer runner to the game. Kind of like dashes the wrong way there. Skip, which he just did, that's like just a simple reverse dash, simple reverse hyper, and then just like a simple little dash away from the spikes, and that saves you about like a minute 15 over going through the intended route, which basically sees you going through a bunch of screens, getting 2 keys, dealing with more Seeker silliness. Yeah, Gix going for it himself. Both of them Yeah, both of them getting surge skip first try, and also going for a fast surge skip, where they're basically like hypering into that little gap where they have to set up the surge skip. So very, very nice to see. In Cookiepocalypse, during the Theo section, into the screen at like 1336. Yeah, and Theo is also unlike anything else in this game because, like now, so this Theo section where we're trying to rescue our friend Theo, who we encounter throughout the plot, this is also unlike anything else in the game because now all the buttons that we use in this game we have to use in unison. Like, we're just throwing him back and forth, like, not back and forth, but like, sorry, collect myself. So basically, we can't dash when we're holding Theo. So in order to move, we have to throw him in the air for just a short amount of time, dash, and then catch him while we're mid-dash because we will retain the momentum through our dash. And that's how to get through those screens. He doesn't quite... Yeah, it doesn't quite... Cookiepocalypse didn't quite get the strat there. And again, you'll see, this is more improv from Giggs because I guarantee that's not the way that he intended to go through that screen, but he still gets through that, you know, rather nicely considering that was improv. And yeah. Yeah, Giggs getting the momentum off of that dash block and yeah, making pretty good work of this section. Yeah, between the Seekers and the Theo section, this is like one of those cookies that I don't know the name of with like the Hershey's Kiss in the middle where like it's just a standard peanut butter cookie, but all of a sudden there's a Hershey Kiss. Like, what? Okay, I mean, this is still good, but I mean, why is this there? But anyway, Giggs through. So it looked like Cookiepocalypse. So it looks like Giggs was at 1740. Cookiepocalypse starting with 1750. So even though Giggs is behind on our screen here, he's actually ahead given the in-game time that we're using. So yeah, Cookiepocalypse only 10 seconds behind, might be regretting going for that double bubble skip, but yeah, because again, this race is important for their group because the winner of this could go on to be the 1 seed out of this group. So Cookiepocalypse now setting up for a surge skip. This saves 4 seconds over going through the intended way, but that's suiting to it optimally. So getting it on the 3rd try there kind of mitigates the potential time save, but again, all you're trying to do right at that point is just like get through the way you know how. We'll see if Giggs goes for it. Yeah, so Giggs not going for late skip, so he's just going to be going through the intended way, which is riding this crush block, having that crush the wall as it's meant to do. And yeah, again, you know, only a 4-second time save, so Giggs may be thinking this is the race, it's probably going to be close, he respects his opponent. Oh man, that death. Oh man, this screen is not going well for Giggs, so Cookiepocalypse is probably in the lead. Yeah, no, the in-game time wouldn't be messed up because it did save his progress after he completed Forsaken City. I'm sure the runners might have agreed to like restart the race maybe if it had been messed up, and because like it would have taken 2 minutes to get back. But yeah, and Giggs, man, just having a rough go in this first part of Reflection. Yeah, and Reflection is one of those levels where it's super, you have like a lot of precise things that you need to do, and like one death here, oh man, yeah, one death here has this tendency to kind of chain itself because like every death here, like one of the good and bad things about this game is that it has no RNG. It's good because yeah, taking out his frustrations on that one little crushable block. So the good thing is that you never like have to deal with any weirdness that the game gives you. Like the game is what it is, and you know what it's going to give you, so you know how to adjust. But it's also bad because when something goes wrong, it's almost entirely your fault. So yeah, Giggs might just be feeling that a little bit right now. Meanwhile, Cookiepocalypse is kind of crushing this stage, it looks like. You know, I haven't focused on Giggs, which may be a little bit of a commentator's curse, but yeah, it doesn't look like he's really had a problem getting through the first half of this level, which is just, you know, like moving around to these feathers, which are kind of floaty, and yeah, feathers are just like another weird thing because like Madeline only moves in 8 directions, but feathers have full 360-degree range of movement. So you'll see a lot of runners switch to joystick rather than like a D-pad, just because like D-pad offers you more precise control over Madeline, but the analog stick gives you more precise control over the feathers. Cookiepocalypse taking it safe on this screen, not going for the full dev-intended skip through that level, just taking the first 2, then taking the checkpoint. Respect that. yeah, Cookiepocalypse taking that checkpoint there is like very, very heartening for some of us on maybe the lower tier, just because like, hey, if someone with a 34 isn't chancing that full skip, that full risky thing, you know, maybe I don't have to go for it ever. Yeah, so Cookiepocalypse now starting the battle line fight, which is kind of the cream filling of the Oreo cookie that is Reflection. Yeah, the battle line fight is the first true boss battle in this game, and it's kind of like after 4 minutes, or 3.5 minutes, I should say, of just like, feather movement and whatnot. So now a lot of plot happened, and now we're confronting ourselves. Like, battle line already knocked us to the bottom of the mountain, and now we're trying to convince her to join us and let us understand her and bring us to the top of the mountain. So most of the speed check in this level is just don't die. But another thing that you're going to be seeing people do during this fight is kind of getting to the ground as fast as possible so they can continue chaining their movement together, because a lot of the speed check that we use in this game involves you interacting with the ground. Yeah, so right there, rather than just floating through the air, he just kind of did a downward dash and just held down to fall as fast as he could, so he could get that hit on battle line as fast as he could. Did Cookiepocalypse. Yeah, meanwhile, Gix starting their own battle line fight. Yeah, the start of Reflection, absolutely not what they wanted, but after. I think they've collected themselves at this point, and now they're just saying, okay, I know I have a lot of respect for my opponent. I know what I need to do. I just have to get over what I've done and just get through these battle line screens as fast as possible. So yeah, again, nice to see him recover from that, pretty rough weekend for Reflection. So yeah, so Cookiepocalypse now in the remix section of the battle line fight, which kind of marks the 2/3 point. In a casual playthrough, maybe this is the halfway point, and because these screens are way more difficult, but ooh. Yeah, and as I say that, yeah, you can kind of see that, he just barely nicked that little orb that Battle Line was throwing. Battle Line's main two weapons are the orbs and the lasers. Lasers, you kind of predict where they're going to go, but orbs kind of go several, yeah. But yeah, Cookiepocalypse getting through. Meanwhile, Gix doing well himself in this level. Oh man, Cookiepocalypse took a death at the end of that screen. Yeah. Again, that's one of the this is one of the longer screens of the game, because feathers move slower than Madeline's normal movement, but there's no real way for us to avoid the feather in the screen. But yeah, he makes it through second try, and now he's going to be getting his double dash ability, which we're going to be seeing now in the summit after he gets through this last little portion with this vertical section that takes full advantage of your newfound double dash. Yeah, so we'll be keeping track of the times here again. So Cookiepocalypse is out of Reflection at 24:32. Yeah, so it's looking like, assuming Gix can get through these next couple screens. Oh, misses the feather, recovers nicely. Okay, barely got away from that second laser. Okay, wow, this is tremendous improv from Gix right there. Yeah, I don't think he really had any. I don't think you necessarily practice having to recover like that. So being able to not just adjust what he was doing, but also avoid the lasers, that was just an incredible display from Gix. He's going to be about 20-ish seconds behind Cookiepocalypse's pace through that level, or through this game. But yeah, that was really solid screen there. All right. Meanwhile, Cookiepocalypse is starting on Summit. It gets to the So the first thing that we do in Summit, we are now remixing these levels. So we go back through. So after our Dark Night of the Soul and Reflection, now we're kind of can't remember to save the cat bug anymore. So, but anyway, now we're just kind of doing narrative fulfillment and just like, you know, kind of revisiting all the spaces that we were in before this part of the run, and oh man, just barely misses there. Yeah, so we're revisiting all the chapters that we've encountered, but now they're kind of remixed to adjust for a new double dash ability. So, you know, these remix sections are obviously a lot shorter than the initial levels. Like, you know, that reflection remix that starts off at the summit base that obviously took Cookie about 40 seconds, shouldn't take Gix much longer. Yeah, about 40 seconds right there. This only took about, you know, a minute to clear the city remix, which actually isn't that much longer than the city proper. Oh, and Cookie taking a death in the old site remix. Yeah, this stage can be one of the like more fun parts of the run, because again, like the dream block mechanic is obviously the most fun thing in the game. Like, how can you argue with that? But when you take a death here, it kind of feels worse than taking a death in like other parts of the run, because this is just so automatic. Like, this is easily my favorite part of the game to practice, and because like, look at you go. This is like so fast paced, so fun. But taking a death here can be like, oh man, but this part is so easy. How could I fail? But you just kind of got to take it in stride and recover. All right. Meanwhile, Gix moved pretty solidly through 500 meters himself, and he is just so RTA. He's about like one summit section behind, but yeah, in-game time will probably offer another comparison like once they are both out of 1500 meters, because 1500 meters, the Celestial Resort remix, this can be another point of a divergence. Like, after this room, which is fairly short, like we'll get some of the longer rooms in this run. Yeah, so get to that first really tight room pretty quickly. Going through the Ultra room, gets the Ultra strat. Oh no! Gets nicked by the... Yeah, and you can see Cookiepocalypse again, resetting the cycle so that he's on something he's more familiar with. Gets a strat second try. Yeah, oh man, we're gonna see if that brings him even, like, at the conclusion of this section. But yeah, like Chad is pointing out, this is definitely the caliber of race that we could expect from two runners who are not only 20th and 21st on leaderboards, but have a PB 12 seconds apart. Cookiepocalypse takes another death in the 1500, so yeah, again, this may be the runners understanding the stakes of this. Oh, wow, that save from Cookiepocalypse, landing himself. Man, I'd never bring up the dust floor mechanic in my commentary because, like, you always move so fast that the dust floor never brings up, but, like, half of that platform that he just landed on was completely unusable. Like, if he landed on half that platform, that would have killed him. So landing on the half that wouldn't kill him, yeah, we're seeing some of the best in the business going at it right now. And meanwhile, Gix getting through 1500. Yeah, one of the pitfalls of Celeste commentary is that, like, when you try to focus on one thing, you miss at least a dozen cool things. Yeah, it looks like Gix got through 1500 pretty solidly. Yeah, gonna be leaving 1500 with 3:40 on the chapter timer, 28:33 on the clock. All right, meanwhile, Cookiepocalypse is getting through the ridge section pretty nicely, recovering well from the maybe a little bit of a disappointing 1500 for him. But yeah, you can definitely see that, like, the first half of Summit is kind of like a monster cookie. It's everything we loved from the previous levels, kind of in like one package, like all the M&Ms and all the chocolate chips and everything that we got. Yeah, it's definitely one of the more fun parts of the run. So we're going to see Gix in the 2000 section here, going for auto-scroller skip. Yeah, nailing the auto-scroller skip first try. That is a very precise trick. I would have to imagine Cookie also hit that. Yeah, and that saves you like a substantial amount of time, especially in a run like this. All right, so meanwhile, Chad informing me because that Cookie hit 2500, the section that he's on now, at 2941. So yeah, Gix is going to be a little bit behind coming into here, but again, there's still like room for diversion. there's still room for him to catch up because like nothing in the Temple remix is a gimme, and certainly nothing in 3,000 meters is free either. So yeah, Cookiepocalypse nailing door skip first try, as you would expect a runner to do, and Gix lands in 2,500 with about 30:05 on the clock. So yeah, about 24 seconds separating them RTA. So, or not RTA, but in IGT. So yeah, anything can happen coming into this last section. So yeah, buckle up, y'all. All right, so Cookiepocalypse is now in the downdraft section. So Summit is the first original. So 3,000 meters is the first original portion of the Summit. Like, it has its own aesthetic, it has its own like little style, and we can see here that like now we're so we can see here in the downdraft that these runners are now dealing with increased gravity. We have this wind kind of like we encountered in Golden Bridge, except instead of forcing us from side to side, it's forcing us down. So this can definitely be like one of the more satisfying runs to like not just like play, but also just like listen to. Like if you have a streamer who has like a mic and a controller, just like listening to the buttons click furiously in this section is like really satisfying. Cookiepocalypse makes very short work of it. And now he is into the updraft section as Gix is starting your adventure. So updraft, it's what you would expect updraft to be in relation to downdraft. Like it's a lot floatier. So yeah, these screens are, some of them more difficult to overcome. Not because like they're like really more objectively difficult than anything else you encounter, just simply because they're long and there's a lot of opportunities to die in some of these screens. Cookie is kind of squaring the edge here, and meanwhile Gix in his own downdraft section. Oh man, takes a death on that last spike. Yeah, that's... And again, Summit is like a rough thing to deal with, like when you're on PB pace alone, as neither of these runners I don't think are right now. Yeah, it's also tough to deal with like when you're in a race and you kind of have to feel like, oh man, I might be a little bit behind. I have to like be pulling out all the stops here, going as fast as I can. You can see another death kind of in that same regard, but recovers nicely, gets that really insane wall bounce, and yeah, he's moving on to updraft. Yeah, moving on to updraft as Cookiepocalypse is finishing updraft. So yeah, Cookie lands with a 33:15 on their clock. Yeah, now they're just in the last part of the summit where, we have just all these like really treacherous, really difficult jumps. But yeah, at this point, it is definitely looking like this Cookiepocalypse has this in the bag, and I think he's just barely going to be missing out on PB here, unless he can just like zoom as fast as he can through this flag 1. But yeah, it doesn't look like it's in the cards, but still an incredible run in this race. Just like it's going to be a scant few seconds off of what his PB actually is. So yeah, Cookiepocalypse hits the flag, skips the cutscene, and finishes up with a time of 34:07, 4 seconds off his listed SRC PB. Get some GGs in the chat for Cookiepocalypse, and yeah, also just cheer on Gix. Just cheer on Gix as he attempts to finish out this run here for us. All right. So we see Gix on flag. I believe this is 4. Yeah, it cancels out of the feather to kind of dash through a little bit early. It gets a flag 2 here, and he should be getting... Ooh! a bit of a problem with Flag 2, but he's on Flag 1 now, and barring some unfortunate cutscene skip shenanigans, this is still gonna be a sub 35. So this is just that's still an incredible time for a race. Just not enough for Cookie on this day because Cookie was just dealing. So yeah, 34.53 finishes in second, but GG's in the chat. So yeah, really incredible race to watch. All right, so it looks like we have Cookiepocalypse in the room here. So hey, how you doing, Cookie?
Actually, the run I just did, it felt so bad. Every split felt so awful, and I don't understand how this time is so good. I felt like I messed up every single segment of the run other than Summit. And actually, I guess City and Old Site didn't have any big mistakes either. But I just felt like everything was bad in general. But this is actually, I guess, pretty good.
Yeah, so let's kind of have his way of doing that. You can kind of feel that you're just playing like trash, then you'll look at the timer and you'll just say, "Oh wow, this is an incredible time for me." What? I think someone in the Discord said that there should be a difference between personal best and personal fastest, where you have your fast time, but you just don't know how you got it.
Yeah, and interestingly, this is actually not a PB. It's better than my PB on speedrun.com by half a second, but I actually have a 33 that I've PB'd in wait, actually, my tourney race consistency is crazy. I've got two 34.07s in this tournament, a 34.05, and then a 33.
Wow, yeah, that is pretty amazing. Yeah, getting those times.
So I think somehow life has just determined that I will get a low 34 every run. That's the worst I can do somehow.
Better to get a low 34 than any other time. Yeah, just get enough to win, right?
Yeah.
All right. Meanwhile, we have Gix in the room with us. So yeah, Gix, how do you feel about that run? Still a good time, but didn't get the win. So how you doing?
I'm really puzzled by this run. Chapters 1, 3, 4, and 5 were all really good, and then 2, 6, and 7 were all absolutely terrible. So it was kind of a mixed run.
Yeah, no, definitely, yeah. So I think I think Cookiepocalypse is still undefeated and you're at 1 loss. So how do you both feel going into brackets here? I know you still have races doing.
So going into brackets, I've got 2 races left, so it's not 100% guaranteed, but beating Gix means I will most likely be the first seed, and that's going to be really nice for the first couple of rounds. But still, even going into the brackets, there's going to come a time where everybody I'm racing has a 32, and I'm just going to die.
And I feel that, sorry, I'm just having trouble coming up with questions because that was just a really solid race that you two both on. I understand that you're disappointed with your runs, but that was still a really incredible. I would encourage everyone in chat to follow the runners if they so choose. They're, they run Celeste, they run other games, and they're pretty solid follows on Twitch.tv. So yeah, go ahead and give them a follow. But yeah, so Gix, kind of same question. How do you feel going into brackets, maybe?
So I'm most likely going to be second seed because I only have 1 match left versus Hawksam, which I should be doing soon. But yeah, same situation. Now that going into brackets, everyone's going to be much better. So I don't know how I'll do, but I'm hoping for a patch on the Switch port so I can get free wall bounces.
Oh no, yeah, definitely, and that was also pretty solid recovery from the Switch crash after that. So
you can tell by my 230 Old Site that I was kind of thrown off by that.
The crash actually threw me off a little bit, and I ended up, but fortunately I only lost 2 or 3 seconds from that.
Yeah, I got a 107 city and then a 229 old site, so
Yo, nice. I also got a 107 city. But really, I'm kind of happy with the run. Like, it wasn't good except for Summit, but really, Summit is so long that that's like all that matters. Like, I was only like 5 seconds behind my ILPB, and that's big.
Chapter 6 and 7 make up like half the run, so if you don't have a great run before that, then like you can just carry with those.
Yeah, I was about like a minute behind like what okay pace, what like good pace for me would be after Mirror Temple.
All right. Oh yeah, solid advice for anyone that's looking to run Celeste Factors 6 and 7 and kind of get that end game short up. So do you two have any final thoughts?
I guess not.
Right. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I guess I will. I guess I'll close it out then. Yeah. Thank you to both of you for racing tonight. That was a super fun watch.
Yeah, thanks for racing, Cookie.
Yeah, it was a really good race, even with like all the stuff that happened there.
Yeah. Anything can happen, I guess.
All right, just type exclamation R in the chat, and that'll do it for the Celeste Any tournament here. Looking at the schedule here in a second. So yeah, it looks like we only have one other race tonight. That's over on Speed Gaming 4 right now. Otherwise, we have a full slate of matches planned for you tomorrow, and it looks like it's going to... Well, just keep it tuned into Speed Gaming 2 through 6. Give all those channels a follow. And be sure to follow the foreign language channels, Espanol, Deutsch, and Francais, for any occasional foreign language restreams. Yeah, thank you all for coming out tonight, and have a great night. Thank you.